I guess welcome back to Mixed Media. And here's part 3 of our Arguing with Reddit series. We have Ben here again this time, and we're going through some hot takes that we found on Reddit and elsewhere on the internet for each of us to react to. So we haven't asked this yet, and we haven't gone around the room yet, but how were you guys' weeks? I know Ben was abroad, so it's a little bit different for him, but how are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right, doing pretty much the same thing, pretty much. Waking up, going to school if I have it, going to work if I have it, coding something, and then sleeping pretty much. So, game is coming along all right. Getting a demo level set up, that's pretty much it.
How about you, Ben?
Yeah, so other than listening to some Hyde, like I said a little bit in the last segment, it was a pretty good week. I did a lot of bird watching while I was up there. A lot of seabird watching.
Did you see anything new?
I did. I think I saw 9 new species.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you keep track of the species that you do come across? I
do. So
yeah.
I'm up to 182 species.
Oh, wow.
Essentially since the start of the pandemic. So
that's pretty awesome. Sounds like an odd comparison, but the coaster community is very about credits. I don't know if you call it that in the bird world too, but there are rare credits and you want to flaunt what you've seen or been on and whatever.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. I'd say people like to compare birding to Pokemon Go.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you just don't get to keep them, but you got your list. You show people what you've seen where you go hunt for a rare bird. Oh, somebody saw a rare bird by this bridge, so you drive out there.
Cool. For me, what's been going on? Oh, I'm Ariella, my company, might be doing some work with another podcast, a podcast that is much larger than ours, which may benefit us. We'll see. No promises yet. We'll see if it works out. But yeah, so I'll let you guys know in the future if that works out and if Ariella is jumping on another podcast bandwagon in terms of production and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so I guess let's start with music again, since Ben hasn't been around in the first segment. Let's see.
So I'll read it. So this is on our unpopular opinion. Criticizing musicians for not writing their own songs is just as dumb as criticizing actors for not writing their own movies. The title says it all. Performance art is still an art that requires tremendous talent and dedication to truly master, but I see people on Reddit almost daily taking crap about successful musicians for not writing their own music. It's extremely ignorant to say that or feel that way, and I guarantee that unless they're just trolling, the people who say this would change their opinion if they saw the hard work and dedication that goes into putting on a musical performance. My initial thought on reading that is there are 2 ways you can look at that. So I assume this person is talking about pop music, not about orchestral music. I assume that, at least from the title. But as it gets on there, it's saying a performance art, and it does seem to sort of implicate or be about implicate people who are criticizing is generally people who play works of other people. So I don't know if that's exactly what the person is referring to or not, but I'll take that out first. That's mostly what I do. I play other people's music. You do not have to write your own music to be a musician. That's the great thing about music, unlike a lot of other art forms. It shares this with things like theater and dance. It's like the work doesn't exist. It exists only the moment where it is performed, and it's always performed anew. So you need somebody to bring it into life, and it's always nice if you can hear the composer conduct their work or play their work if it's a piano, a single instrument, but that's not even doesn't have to be the definitive version of it. Yeah, that's a cool thing about performance art. Anytime you do it, you are being part of that work of art. And anybody, provided you have a technical means to do it, they can be part of that living work. So yes, I agree. Very silly if you criticize people for that. Now, I assume that mostly this is discussing like pop artists who don't write their own works and instead have a bunch of guys from Sweden. I think it's mostly like Sweden and Norway writing their pop songs, and then they go out and perform them, and the people from Sweden get like maybe tiny little line of credit, like if you buy the actual CD, but you won't see their name anywhere else. Yes. Okay, so is that a thing in the world of pop? Absolutely. Is it kind of silly? Well, I guess it says that a lot of our big pop stars can't actually write music, and they have to farm it out to a bunch of people in Sweden. His first language isn't even English, to write music for us. Does that deserve a little bit of criticism? Yeah, probably a little bit, especially if the artist passes these things off as like authentic expression. If you're like One Direction, who does this, and like Katy Perry and things like that, if you're gonna try and pass these, like what you're doing is like your authentic expression of, no, it's not. It's not coming from your soul. Maybe your performance might, but like the writing of it doesn't. But I think it's more of an indictment of the entertainment industry in general, not so much the particular artist, because what that just says to me is mostly people who do this are people who are kind of taken in by the entertainment industry as an act, right? You don't go to a Katy Perry concert to like marvel at how gorgeous her natural voice is. I don't know, what's her name, like Miley Cyrus or something. They're an act, and they are selected from many other probably better performers because of their marketability, in terms of their looks, whatever else the people in charge of these things think are appealing. And then they say, well, great, so we've made you a singer, but you don't actually have any ability to write something, so we got to get someone to write something for you. And I think that is kind of a pretty disgusting practice. Obviously, yeah, they're probably right a lot of times about like what it is people want to see, and that's probably more important in some ways than the music itself. But that does a disservice to the performer, and also to the people who are writing these things, and just to the art form of music in general.
Yeah,
I think I mostly agree with that. I think what's interesting is that in rap, it's like not like appreciated at all if you don't write your own lyrics. It depends on what section of rap, I guess. But I feel like in the majority, it's like seen as like dirty, and like that shouldn't happen. I wonder why it is that it. Probably because you're. Well, it depends. Like, so for example, certain people. For certain people, the skill of rapping is a lot easier if they're doing like more mundane things, and their selling point is the lyrics that they say, and their ability to be lyrical. And if you don't even have that, then like you're just not doing anything essentially. Of course, certain people who are able to rap particularly hard things, whether it be like speed or like crazy alliteration or whatever it is, without like tripping over their words and stuff like that, then like yeah, that's quite the skill. And I don't know. It feels. I don't know. Basically, it just seems too much rap. It just feels like wrong for them to not write their own lyrics. I don't know.
I would say hip hop culture has a very unique stance on this issue, where it's like it comes from there are a few things about hip hop that are just like it's not really hip hop if these things aren't true. So like it comes from a competitive nature. So like, historically it's part artistic, part competitive. On the hardcore side of that'd be like rap battling, like literally like, toe-to-toeing it with someone. On the least extreme side, you'd have like, your still hip hop, but, pop artist like, I don't know, like Kendrick or I don't know, J. Cole or someone like that. That's on the other extreme, but they're still competitive. Their lyrics still contain affirmations of their own skill, attacking other people's inability to be as good as them at rapping and assembling lyrics and all that kind of stuff. And the thing is, like, if you're not actually doing that, then none of that means anything. And the thing is, if hip-hop was devoid of that, it would not be hip-hop anymore. Or at least the hip-hop scene would have significantly diverged from its, like, original, I guess, contents. It would be very different if there was zero competitive aspect to it. Yeah, I think that's interesting, though. That's very interesting. I would, it's like, who doesn't write his own lyrics anymore? Kanye. But he's still like a huge figure in hip hop. He writes like some of his lyrics. He makes flows, so like his rhythms are his mostly. But then he'll like ask some other rapper, usually some other famous person, to help him fill out sequences to get the point across that he's trying to get across. The thing is, though, that no one can. Well, some people do, but it's generally frowned upon to put Kanye in like the best MCs, like best rappers of all time list because of that. Even though Kanye himself is not disregarded in the hip hop scene in general, it's like he can't be one of the best rappers though because he doesn't write all his stuff. He's just denied that access to that title whatsoever. Although he did write all of his college dropout era stuff, so he can write. It's just he does not do that anymore. So.
It's also in rap, there's a lot more respect given to the producer. Where like in pop, like you don't know who composed those things.
Yeah, I guess these people don't get any credit, unless
100%.
like I started recognizing this phenomenon. I think with One Direction many years ago. My sister, when they first got really popular with like "You Don't Know You're Beautiful" or something like that. And my sister was obsessed. Little sister was obsessed with this stuff. And she had the CD and looked at the CD, and it's like somewhere buried in like the end of a liner notes, it says like written and produced by like two Swedish names. So I looked these guys up, and they're like songwriting team that like composes, write songs, lists all their artists. I'm like, really?
Yeah. That's how it be.
At least give these guys credit.
In chat asked any particular reason why Sweden is where most songs are written.
I have no idea. I guess a bunch of people in Sweden and countries like that have like internalized the American pop formula. That's my best guess.
It's just in their bones. Like American pop is just in their bones. Okay. So let's see. Let's read it. Many of you have suggested we show live pro sports, esports, and events. We are on it. On Saturday, July 10th, live from Las Vegas, interesting. How do you say his name? Poirier? Or something like that.
I guess. I have no clue.
I'm sorry, I'm not a UFC person. But and McGregor UFC matchup will be on AMC's big screens at 95 US AMC theaters. Tickets only $25 versus $70 on pay-per-view. So I think I know why you put this in here. It's because of AMC, right?
I actually looked up the theater. That's what I looked up.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, this is very fascinating of an angle that AMC is taking. And while I'm not a UFC person and I have problems with UFC, from different angles, and so maybe this wouldn't be the place I would go with what I would show, doing live showings at AMC theaters is actually a pretty cool idea. I didn't come across my mind, but come on, like it's even better than going to like I don't know, to some guy who has a projector in his basement or in his room, it's even cooler. It's huge, I guess
Yeah,
that's
it's like people go
go
to like
ahead.
a sports bar for like the community feeling, right? But imagine that in like with a big screen,
Yeah, that would be
Nice
wild.
sound system.
Yeah, and you have like proper
Super
cable.
Bowl parties, Super Bowl watchings at the theater.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an amazing idea, and hats off to AMC for coming up with something good. Because I actually wrote them off for dead. I'm not kidding. Like I was just like, they won't do anything good because they've just rolled over and died for the past like 10 years, and so I'm giving up any hope that they're going to do anything innovative. But this is cool. I think that their cinema offerings need work though, like in terms of movies. If they're going to continue to sell movies, then you got to do some stuff in that field as well. But this is a good start to not dying. So yeah, I guess that's really just a slow clap. Although again, maybe UFC wouldn't be my go-to, but
Is this the first time on our show that Irving has praised AMC or any other theater chain for their business plan?
Whoa.
I think it is. Like I'm actually like gonna research this afterwards because I'm just so surprised. I'm like, wow, they actually did something. And $25 versus $70. I mean, that's a great like just that alone. You got butts and seats immediately just on the economics of it, and that's really great. And they're gonna sell drinks, of course, at like 3 times like what it would normally cost, and they're gonna sell popcorn at like 100 times. And so you still have the concession problem where, but at least this uses their current terrible advantage of being a concessions business to make some money. I guess in that sense, it's a positive
Why does
development.
why does pay-per-view cost so much compared to movies?
I don't know. I actually did not know it cost $70 to watch a UFC match. It seems a little absurd to me, but
Interesting. All right.
maybe people know people don't watch these things alone, and so people would defray the cost. Maybe they know that the vibe is to watch it with a group, and so
I
people
see.
are willing to pay $70, split amongst a group or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what they do with that. They should take freaking Super Bowl away from Amazon, please. So take football out of Amazon's grubby hands if you can, AMC. That'll be the next move. All right. So gaming. So this is our last hot take of the night. So let's see.
All right. All right. Title is games with solo mode are stupid. All right. Says games like Apex Legends are great games but don't have a solo mode option are very dumb. They force people who play solo to fight 2 other people who probably are on a team. This is not fun. I'm not going to magically enjoy carrying people I play alone with, so I only have to cover my butt. I don't want to play against a team. Every FPS game at least should have a 1v1 mode. Games in general, despite being the next generation, have way less content than 2 old console generations ago. All right, sorry, I failed to read for quite a bit. The general premise is just that all games should have some offline mode. Yeah, in a lot of multiplayer games, I guess some games should have solo modes to do 1v1s. Okay, the problem I can see with that is when you have like a 1v1 queue, right? You're splitting your queue up, which if you say you had 2 queues, for example, right? And you had a 2v2 queue, and then you decided to add a 1v1 queue, right? Assuming that, it depends on how it's going to split, how many people are going to want to play on each queue in general. But you're going to end up, no matter what, increasing queue times for both everyone, really, which could be undesirable. I thought it was really interesting. The amount of game modes you can possibly have in a game that has like a queue system where you select the game mode and then it queues you up and you have to wait for it to give you a server. Like the amount of game modes you can have is entirely dependent on how many players you have, or else you'll have like massive queue times. So you have a lot of game modes but not enough players, so you can scale game modes with players. Or some games do it in a clever way where it's like there's a bunch like a quick match and it's just like any game mode and I'll just put you in any game mode, which is okay because then it speeds up your time and you don't lose any time there. But for something like this where it's 1v1 or 2v2, normally you'd be picking because if you're playing alone, you do not want to play 2v2s because you're going to play against party members, probably people who are together and more coordinated, probably. If you're playing in 2s, you can't play in 1s. So you have a actual divide where people are not going to be queuing for both at once, probably. So yeah, in this scenario, you're going to end up increasing queue times potentially really badly. I understand why they have like the number they choose for like battle royale games. 2v2s, depends on the game. 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, whatever. Should be chosen strategically, I think. Of course, you can have multiple, but which ones you choose should be chosen very purposefully about like what kind of game this is. Because, let's say you have a game where you have a 3v3 game mode. Understand that this is an acceptable game of people who are in groups of three. If you're in a group of three, that's great. If you're in a group of two, it's not so bad. If you're alone, that's kind of unfortunate because you're going to run up against whole teams of three that you're going to have to fight, and you being uncoordinated is going to end up screwing you over a little bit. 1v1 is good for everyone, essentially. 2v2 is pretty good, too, because if you're alone, not too bad. If you're in a pair, that's just fine. The problem is that when you have low scales, you can't have people who have a lot of friends they want to play with or whatever. Then they just can't play it with them. I don't know what Apex Legends has besides from 2v2s. I would assume like the generic is 2v2s and 4v4s, right? Because you don't want to do 3v3s because that's not enough of a jump to warrant increasing the queue time a lot, essentially. So just do 2v2s and 4v4s or something like that. And then 1v1 is the same sort of situation where you're going to have a queue time jump despite having just only just one less person versus a 2v2. Yeah, I don't play Apex Legends, so I don't know what the queue times are like, but I would totally understand why they wouldn't add a whole another queue just for 1v1s, which is only one off 2v2s. So yeah, that's my stance on that, I guess. I also don't think it should be a ubiquitous thing, as I say, like just games should have that.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that from the logistical angle at all. So I think that's an interesting point, like how matchmaking times get affected by that. Do you think that there are some games that, like, what about like for indie developers? Do you think they should, if they, let's say they make a battle royale game or something like that, should they have as many game modes as they think people might like and then scale it back? Or because they might not necessarily know what will work, like a AAA developer does, or like, they don't have as many resources to figure it out. But at the same time, they don't have as many resources to make a million game modes. So I guess, I don't know.
Are you saying they don't, like, what should indie game developers do when deciding what game modes to put in because they don't know which one people are going to like? Is that what you're trying to say?
Pretty much.
I mean, I guess testing and a lot of testing and just hoping that you get it right. Having a lot of people play, have early access copies that you can give out, whatever, or pre-alpha, beta, whatever stage you're in, and then test it, see how it goes, and then you remove or add or do whatever to the game modes that is required. That's why we have stuff like that, because it is an unknown what it's going to be like when you release the game. So you have a pre-release where people play it beforehand, and hopefully gives you a good release.
Cool.
Also, I disagree with games in general have less content. I don't know about that one, man. Depends, but like,
yeah,
2 whole generations ago. That's a long time ago, dude. That's That's Xbox 360. I don't know about that one.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for arguing with Reddit this week. Is there any particularly interesting news that you guys have noticed this past week?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I feel like there's something. Oh, we ended up talking about it. I think I was going to bring up Clifford the Big Red Dog movie in the news segment, but we ended up talking about it earlier. Don't watch the movie. Don't spend your movie on these terrible. You already know it's bad. If you have children, it will only make them not want to watch movies in the future, so don't bring them to it.
I mean, my first ever film was Thomas the Tank Engine and, like, I'm not going to give a title right, but like Thomas and the Magic Lady or something. The original Thomas the Tank Engine movie, which is literally unwatchable. So, I mean, I survived that when I was 4, so.
True.
My first movie in theaters.
Well, okay, at least save yourself the $15 and, I don't know, buy your kid an ice cream instead or something. I don't know. Like, do something better with your life.
Or just a good movie.
Or I don't know. Well, there are no kids' movies are unfortunately rarer and rarer these days in cinemas, which I think is actually sad. But just buy something good on Blu-ray, or I don't know, do something like that. Oh yeah, so that's arguing with Reddit for this week. I think it was pretty fun. So new to this week is we're splitting these up into 3 segments. First segment, second segment, third segment. In the future, those will each be like about a round of these, reactions to these hot takes. But most importantly, like I said, if you like the content, if you love the content, I would just love to see us pool together into a community on Discord. Link in the description wherever you are. We want to just keep the conversation flowing during the week, not just when we're on here. And hopefully we can get larger and larger conversations. Thank you to the people in the chat who have been engaging with us this week. And lastly, I'll say thank you to producer wife Steph for editing and doing all the stuff for the podcast. So with that, I'll say have a great week and look out for the releases.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.